Hey there guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well, and it's nice to see you once again for some more Ark Extinction DLC information and gameplay. Now before we get into this, I'd like to remind you that I've done two other Ark Extinction videos this weekend, one showing the orbital supply drop and the other showing how to tame the brand new Ice Titan. That thing is absolutely epic, it is huge, it is a mini boss. That one in particular, I'm sure you won't want to miss out on, so I'll put a link on the screen right now for you to check that out, or of course there'll be links to these videos at the end of this one. So this gameplay that you're witnessing and the information that we're going to get from this gameplay was taken from the Ark 24-hour Extra Life charity live stream. Probably by the time you're watching this that will be over, but if you just happen to be watching this in the early hours or in the late afternoon if you're in Europe of the 4th of November, then go and check it out. They are actually doing a charity live stream to raise money for Extra Life, an amazing cause, and they've already hit their target goal. Official times of 8 rates, incredible, and they're still raising money. As you can see on screen here, they were at 67,000 at the time of they actually recorded this footage. So here they gave us a look at the Cryopods, how you use them, their effectiveness, what you can and can't do with them, and I went and listened to the whole thing, took down some notes, and I'm going to bullet point for you all the interesting things that they said. So the first thing you might notice is that we have a sleeping T-Rex on screen. This T-Rex is actually suffering from the cryo sickness. This effect occurs if you throw out a cryopod while one is still on cooldown. So if you try and throw one out after another. So if you're looking at bottom right hand corner, you'll see a countdown timer. At the moment it's 300 seconds, or they said all these things are potentially subject to change. But if you throw out another one while that timer is still up, your dino will come out like this, basically asleep and suffering from the sickness. Now they said if your dino has a saddle on it during the sickness, it will take extra damage. It suggests that even if they don't have a saddle, they will take some damage, but it's something to know. Maybe you can go and take the saddle off of it. I'm not sure. He didn't try and do that, but you'd have to think that would be possible. So this is obviously done for balance reasons. It'd be kind of crazy if you could just roll up on someone and just throw out hundreds of dinos at them, or just do exactly that kind of thing at a raid. So this is a time-saving device they want to add, but obviously that would be something that would be overpowered. So it's something just to balance that out and make it so it's not quite as easy to just spam people with the dinos. Now to put the dino inside the cryopod, it looked like he just held right click. I don't know, I mean, it looks like left click would be to throw it and right click would be to get it in. It took about 5 seconds to put a dino inside of this cryopod, and the dino had to not be moving and it had to not have anyone on it. Also they mentioned that you cannot do it while you are taking damage, so you can't just jump off in the middle of getting attacked by another dino and then try and put your dino inside this cryopod. Of course you could try, but they're trying to counter that by making sure that you're in a safe area and making it a bit more balanced, because otherwise you could just like quickly upload your dino just before it dies in a fire or something like that. So there is a little bit of balance to that as well. So as I mentioned in a previous video, in your inventory these things seem to last 50 minutes. However, in this stream they did say that is subject to change and it will probably be a lot longer. They want people to use these things because not only are they great for quality of life, but they're also going to help the server run better, and also they're going to allow people to not have to build such huge bases to store all of their dinos. So you can put these pods inside of a normal fridge, or as you're going to see in the gameplay, a cryo fridge. Now in a cryo fridge they said that they will last indefinitely. However, you have to power the cryo fridge with a tech generator. Now you might think that's a little bit over the top, because tech generators, often you need to do one of the bosses to unlock one of those. They did mention in here as well that some of the tech engrams, they didn't say specifically which ones, are going to be unlockable just in game. So you're not going to have to do a boss to unlock some of the tech in here. Does that include this cryo fridge? Does that include the tech generator? They didn't say specifically, but you'd have to think so. They did make it sound like they really want people to use this. However, you do need to have element to make tech structures normally. So is that going to be something that's tricky to do? I did actually take note at one point in the stream. They did mention that there are going to be charge stations in this map. So I think you're going to be able to make element in this map. Obviously not 100% sure. Obviously can't quote me on that, but from what I heard, that's how they made it sound. They also noted that your dino will gain XP while in this cryopod, although they did specifically state it's a small amount of XP. So it's unlikely this is going to be a good way of leveling all your dinos. However, it is something that might encourage you to put maybe a fresh tame or a fresh breed you've got inside of the Cryofridge. I don't know about you guys personally, but just looking at this Cryofridge makes me think that I'm going to want almost everything in here. There's not many dinos that you need instantly to have unless they're literally for base defense and they need to be there that second. So I can imagine a lot of people put a lot of dinos in these things, which is going to save on space for bases as well, and really makes me think that it's going to completely change the meta as to how people build their bases. A lot of people struggle with building bases because they have to build big bases for like their wyverns and their quetzals. But if you have this, maybe you could just have a small base. The smaller the base is, the easier it is to defend. So this one feature could completely change the PvP meta in terms of building and defending bases and even raiding them. A very interesting point they made that I guess isn't obvious is that you can put your dinos that are being raised in here, because they mentioned that you could put one away so that you didn't have to do its imprint, or so that you could wait for its imprint. Maybe you weren't going to be online. That is a huge game changer if you could put your dinos that you are breeding inside of this thing. That's going to massively change people's ability to imprint, people's ability to get 100% imprint. Just absolutely sounds ridiculous. Like, thinking about these, and the more I hear about them, the more it makes me think that especially big tribes and alpha tribes are just going to have hundreds of these things. Well, at least a lot more fridges if they can't get the actual Cryofridge. So something you might be thinking, and I know I was thinking it when I was watching, is can you raid other people's fridges and get their dinos? And if you do capture their dinos, do they then become your dinos if you throw them out? They weren't specific about this, and they weren't going into details. They said they don't know, or the guy who was doing this demo didn't know. I'm not sure whether he doesn't know or he just doesn't want to reveal it yet, but that again would be a game changer. To be honest, even the fact that you can just like get their fridge and drop everything, that's going to be the new meat run. The Cryofridge is the new meat run. You're going to be destroying people's dinos by just dropping everything out of their Cryofridge. Unless, of course, you can get them for yourself, in which people will be... I mean, that would be amazing. That's the equivalent to, say, going to someone's base, going to a raid, and just being able to claim all of their dinos once you've raided them. That is absolutely ridiculous and something super exciting for PvP and raiding in general. Now, one huge question mark over this whole presentation for me is which dinos can you put inside of a cryopod? Because this is one of the strangest answers to a question I've heard from the Ark devs, and I think it almost shows a little bit how few of them understand the meta, or at least the people that were doing this presentation, because they said you can put anything you can tame inside of a cryopod apart from raid dinos. Now, what does a raid dino mean? I'm not sure what the Ark dev's definition of a raid dino is, but if you play a lot of PvP, you'll know that a raid dino can cover a huge amount of different types of dinos. Even parasaurs are raid dinos now, because obviously they're good for detecting people. Daedons are raid dinos, trikes, stegos, patchy rhinos, parasaurs, all things that I think maybe the devs might see as, you know, herbivores, berry collectors, because I was actually involved in a live stream with some of the devs, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are people there at Wildcard who understand the PvP meta, know which kinds of dinos are used for raiding and defending, but obviously not all of them do, and I even think not a majority of them do. And when I was in this live stream, I said that, oh, you might want to breed some Brontos for soaking, or some parasaurs for soaking, and when I said that, they weren't sure what I meant by soaking. So the fact that some of them aren't sure, that you don't even know which kinds of dinos you might use to raid with, really puts a huge question mark on this ability. So you can't put a raid dino in here. Is a Pteranodon, an Argent, a Griffin a raid dino? I would think that by that they probably mean big aggressive carnivores, but like I said, a lot of big aggressive carnivores aren't even really used in raids. So I hope that they really understand the meta of Ark, and they understand the huge variety of dinos that are used in PvP when they consider which dinos can and can't be put in this cryopod. For example, you might automatically think that a Rex is a raid dino, but in all honesty, not many people see too many Rexes going around on the battlefield these days. A lot of people will use a Therizino and the Gigas as well. Obviously Gigas can be great for meat runs, but Gigas have to be used sparingly. They're not the be all and end all, because when you play against tribes that have high level gear, especially high level pump action shotguns, a Giga is quite easy to rage, and then it just becomes a massive liability. So a lot of people will prefer to use a Therizino just because it is, you know, just so deadly against players and still decent against teams. So yeah, a Rex and a Giga, they might sound like the ultimate PvP dinos, but in reality, I mean, the Rex is not used very often in PvP, especially for raids, and the Giga of course is still used, but sparingly. For example, a Rhino is most definitely the PvP meta at the moment. If you're in an area where you can run around without hitting too many things, a good Rhino is going to one tap almost any player and one or two tap some of your most tanky dinos. So like I said, I hope it's something that they include and that they recognize and that they make this balanced in terms of, well, to be honest, I don't know if they even can balance it. I think the only thing you shouldn't really be able to Cryopod is possibly a Giga, because they are so powerful. But also obviously the Titans, or I'm sure you're not going to be able to Cryopod a Titan. That would be really silly. I guess the final question that I have here, or the big question mark that they didn't really answer and that I would like an answer to, is how can you refresh your dinos? So say you put a dino in the fridge, and at the moment they said it will last about a week in the fridge, obviously subject to change. So you put it in there for half a week. Can you refresh that by throwing the pod on the ground and then recapturing the dino? Does that completely reset that timer? You'd think it would. So is that going to be something you're going to be doing? You know, it gets low, you just throw it on the ground and pick it up again, and then it resets. And will that work for it being in your inventory? Because at the moment it lasts 50 minutes in your inventory. Say you're down to just 10 seconds. You throw it on the ground and pick it up again. Will that completely reset it? Because if it does, then really, is there a point to having that timer? I mean, I guess there is if people forget. But if you could just simply reset it by reminding yourself every 10 minutes to throw it on the ground or to spawn the dino and then pick it up again, then that seems like that could be not really that balanced. Either way, let me know what you think about these cryopods. I know I'm already considering the ways this is going to make me change how I play, how I build my bases, how you store your dinos. It's excellent news for breeders. That is one thing for sure, as well as people who just love to have a huge array of different dinos. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that like button and make sure your notifications are on, because I'm uploading as much Extinction information as I can for you guys. I like to try and be entertaining and of course informative, so I want to inform you guys on everything you're going to want to know and need to know in the run up to this DLC being released on November 6th. There's going to be some more of my videos coming up on screen if you'd like to check those out, guys, but that's it for today, and I'll see you all next time.